You've been a big advocate for citation, especially as a way to build and retain trust, that people have for Wikipedia. What do you think about citation here in generative AI? Like, giving due credit and given that the volume of things that are going to get published on the internet with AI assisted, AI generated is going to be, it's going to be a quasi exponential increase.
There are probably three different ways to think about this, right? One of which is citation to copyrighted material. One of which is citation of critical information. So that might be in a medical or a scientific context. There are probably other contexts as well. That's just the first thing that pops up in my mind. And then the third is sort of the creative construction that is based on open materials. I feel as though the lesson that we learned from Wikipedia is very, very few people engage with the citations. but the fact that they are there allows people to do so and allows people to get engaged in the sort of confidence assessment as to where this information comes from. And so you might be the sort of person who checks the citations once at the beginning of your experience with Wikipedia. And if you are satisfied that that is roughly correct and roughly correctly attributed, you may then have a sort of a confidence transfer to your future engagements with the product. You may be the sort of person who never checks, but in reality, we know about user-generated content in general. You only need a tiny percentage of people who are actually engaging with this process of sort of attribution validation in order for that to work well. Further, citations within Wikipedia provide their own sort of graph that allows us to have better understanding of where information is being produced. It's sort of, think of it as a equivalent to within academia, people look at, what papers have the highest number of citations and sort of how does that influence overall research and development. Within Wikipedia, we can do the same thing. We can isolate where most information is coming from, what are considered the most reliable sources, and then we can draw inferences around that, or we can direct research to areas where we have under-researched questions. All of this is essential to how we construct information and has inherent value in addition to sort of the validation value. Within AI, I'm very much of the opinion that there are going to be applications where having citations are critical. I'm actually on the board of an organization, a company that is doing work in this area around medical research and that has basically built a model off all publicly available scientific and medical research. And we have an average of 36 citations per synthesis. So it is quite possible to do this work if you prioritize it and if you're thinking about where your training data is actually coming from. And arguably in that space of medical research, that's exactly where you need to have that high fidelity of research because it tells you temporality, it tells you accuracy, it tells you scope of the research, applicability, it tells you the diversity of subjects in that research, et cetera, et cetera. Again, there are places where that's not necessary at all, such as what are a good set of parks to go hiking in Vancouver when I'm there for a weekend with my family. I mean, maybe the Vancouver Public Municipality wants us to have that, but from a sort of critical citation purpose, it's a little bit less relevant.